Hello and welcome to the third edition of the Getting Personal podcast here from Ankin Law, where we give you a chance to get to know about our firm, learn about our attorneys, and maybe get a little advice along the way. Now today I'm really excited to be joined by really one of the, I always call them founding fathers of Ankin Law, some of the first people that were here when our firm was created back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and that is attorney Scott Goldstein in the Workers' Compensation Department. Scott, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem, Larry. I really appreciate you having me here, and it's really great to be here.
Scott, you are one of those people that's been here since the early days. Can you describe to me what it's like to see the firm grow from just a couple of people in a small office to now being over 100 strong?
Sure. The early days was a much different experience of Ankin Law. That was 2 offices ago. I think we had about 2 attorneys and 6 staff members working at the whole law firm when I first started working here with Howard. And now I think we've grown to probably close to 25 attorneys and about 100 staff members. And like I said, that was 3 offices ago. It was a much smaller space. Now we occupy 3 floors in a downtown Chicago, middle of the loop office building. So it's very different.
I want to ask you a little bit about your start, because you really are I always call kind of a grassroots guy here at Ankin Law. You were going to the University of Illinois at Chicago Law School, and you just saw a posting, if I remember right. What was the journey you had here?
Yeah, so that is right, and it's UIC Law School at the time. I'm dating myself, but it was John Marshall Law School at the time. It was like my experience is like many other law students. Like I saw a job posting at John Marshall Law School at the time for a legal clerk, and I applied, and within, I think, just a few days, Howard brought me in for an interview, and the rest is history, as they say.
What was your first impression of Howard Ankin? I'm just curious because we always see him on the commercials, at least those in the audience see him on the commercials. You see him out in public, but Howard Ankin, the attorney, what is that like to be in the room, to see him in his practice?
Super smart guy, super business savvy, professional, everything that you could sort of imagine that he's probably like. He can be serious. When at the appropriate time, if we have a trial coming up or something like that, but also when you get him in the right moment, more carefree and funny as well. So just a pretty well-rounded kind of guy, and somebody that I've kind of tied my coattails to, at least in a legal or a professional sense, in a lot of different ways. So it's been good.
What are the biggest things you've learned from him that you take every day in your practice?
Number one, there's no substitution for preparation, I would say. So you have to be prepared. When you're doing litigation, you have to know your file cold, and you just got to be ready to go. And Howard and I have spent in the early years probably hours and hours and hours combing through files and prepping files probably in an office about this big, just the 2 of us. Like on a Saturday, putting together timelines, putting together medical bills, putting together trial exhibits. So preparation, I would say, is one key thing that I've really learned from him.
You talked a lot about working on Saturdays, working very hard. Can you kind of paint a portrait of what it's like for you as a workers' compensation attorney, and what it means to you to have to put a lot of your life, not only in your time, but your mental focus and effort into being able to help clients every day and to make the most of your practice?
Yeah, I think that, being an attorney, that your client is putting, and especially in the field of workers' compensation, where their clients' day-to-day finances or day-to-day medical care is sort of at stake. They're putting their life in your hands, so to speak, and I take that very seriously, and I really try my best to do right by the client. I think that that's really important.
You've been practicing now for a very long time, but when you are able to help a client, is it still kind of that same satisfaction, and does that give you kind of maybe just a little bit of motivation to keep going and to keep working for people and keep trying to make things happen for the clients that come to you when you were just talking about it, when they're in distress?
Yeah, I think that wanting to help the client and doing your best for the client is personally satisfying in a lot of ways. And sometimes you just got to take that satisfaction, like the inner satisfaction that you get when you see, maybe the insurance company agrees to pay your client their workers' compensation check, or you settle a case on favorable terms, or you get a good trial result. You take that inner satisfaction for sure and try to carry it on to the next case.
Scott, your workers' compensation background in many ways could go back to when you grew up in your childhood, back when you grew up in Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about your family and kind of their involvement in unions and in blue-collar workers, and how much of an impact that had on you.
My dad was the president of the Milwaukee County Labor Council, AFL-CIO, when I was growing up. In sort of my teenage years. Earlier than that, he worked as a city bus driver and was involved in the Local 998, which was the transit workers local in Milwaukee. He became the president of Local 998, and my mom also was a teacher at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and she was involved in her teachers union as well. So the value of a dollar and a hard day's work was never lost on me growing up, and I think and I hope that I carry some of that over with me into the legal practice, into the legal field as well.
Is that a source of pride for you and gives you motivation knowing that you're kind of continuing your parents' quest to help those workers and to help those people, the working people, as they continue kind of on and do the essential work that we need every day?
Yeah, absolutely. And I probably do wear that as sort of a badge of honor, a badge of pride, or I take that as a sort of prideful way and try to carry on a legacy that I learned from my parents about trying to do right and helping working people is a good thing.
Scott, you encounter a lot of questions when you're in your practice. I'm curious if you're somebody who's been hurt at work, what are just a few things that they should know, things that they should do when they're hurt at work to ensure themselves that they're doing the best thing they can to try to make sure they not only get medical care, but at the end of the day get a resolution and maybe even a settlement?
Right. So that's a really, really great question, Larry, and that's one that people ask me on a routine and regular basis. Number one, if you're injured at work, you need to report the injury right away. A lot of times with the insurance company or with the employer, it's all about documentation. So if you have documentation from the start, I think that's really key. Also, I think getting medical care initially or right away or as soon as you can after the accident is really, really important to document. Again, it's documentation that you have an injury. And number three, I would say call Scott Goldstein at the Ankin Law offices so that we can get you on the right path from a legal standpoint right away.
And Scott is one of our leading workers' compensation attorneys. We are the largest filer of workers' compensation cases in the state, so Scott is not lying with that. Scott, I've had a chance to get to know you since I got here in November of 2023, and one of the things that I enjoy is your passion for sports. Now, some of that passion includes a team from up north with the Packers. Discuss, how much you've enjoyed, you like them, and along with some of the other sports that you've followed.
Sure, no problem. That's also another good question. I agree. Sports is a passion of mine, maybe to somewhat of my family's dispute every now and then. But yes, growing up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I think the whole state of Wisconsin is really passionate about being fans of the Green Bay Packers football team, and I certainly grew up with that passion and that love for the Green Bay Packers. So that's something that I carry with me to this day. And growing up in Chicago, you get the fun rivalry with the Chicago Bears. Thankfully, at least in my mind, my son has grown to become a Green Bay Packers fan as well. So that's fun to pass on to your family as they grow older as well.
Now, are there other people in your family that are Bears fans, or maybe like for in-laws or anything like that?
Yes, my wife is a Chicago Bears fan, and we've always had the sort of familial rivalry in our family, but we keep it fun, and it's always fun when the Packers and Bears play each other.
Another sport you're very passionate about is soccer, and you even travel to go see soccer matches. Discuss where your love of not only maybe MLS soccer, but also international soccer.
Yes, yeah. So I grew up playing soccer since I was like 5 years old. It's something else that I've passed on to my son because he now plays and competes competitively, which is really fun. I really enjoy to watch, your offspring or one of your family members play in their games. I like watching professional soccer. I'm interested in watching different professional soccer leagues, and I also like following the United States men's national team, and that's something that I follow closely as well. We have the World Cup coming up, obviously, next summer, 2026. I think not just me or soccer fans in this country, but soccer fans in the world are really gearing up for that tournament. It's going to be a really great sporting event next summer here.
What's it going to mean to you to have it back? It's been quite a while since we had 1994.
I was just having this conversation with my family the other day. It may be the last time in my lifetime that they have the tournament here. Hopefully not. But it's really, really exciting. I can't wait till the tickets go on sale, and I'd really like to go see Team USA play. So we'll see if I get a chance next summer to be able to do that.
Scott, as you follow sports, you continue to also be a lawyer. As you look forward now in your career, what are the things that you want to do? Like some of the goals that maybe you have now as you continue on in your career?
Yeah, sure. So one, I'd like to continue sort of with the trajectory that I've been on. I enjoy getting in the ring, so to speak, to use a sports analogy. Trying workers' compensation cases is always exciting. So I like doing that. I'd like to continue doing that. And I'd also like to sort of, at some point, we talked about labor unions. So to me, as a trial lawyer, the Illinois Trial Lawyers Association is basically what I think of as my union. And I'd like, moving forward as I grow in my practice and sort of grow older as an attorney, to get more involved in the Illinois Trial Lawyers. So that's something that I've been thinking about as well.
Scott, you are now at the point in your career where you now mentor young lawyers, legal assistants. I'm curious, what has that been like for you? Because you started here at Ankin Law growing yourself as an attorney and in your practice. Now you have the opportunity to share that knowledge with a new generation. What is that like for you in the legal field?
In the legal field, mentoring or helping young lawyers or law students is always you get an inner satisfaction from being able to, help people grow and get active in the legal field. I mean, you think back on the times when I guess Howard was doing the same for me. Howard and I actually shared an office for a couple years, so it's very similar. And you think back on those times and you try to sort of try to emulate, I guess, what Howard did with me. And I'm always open. My door's always open for questions or any concerns that any young lawyers or law students have. So try to help out the best way that I can.
At this point in your career, do you ever go to Howard for advice still?
I always still go to Howard for advice. Yeah, you never want to think that you're sort of above asking questions. I'm constantly still learning new things in my career. So yeah, I talk to Howard on a regular basis. Maybe not as much as when we shared an office with each other, but I talk to Howard on a regular basis.
Can you describe what it was like to share an office with Howard? No, especially those early days where you guys are working a ton, all of you.
Loud. Loud. Between him and I, probably trying to overtalk each other and trying to hustle up whatever help we could, helping our clients, and probably battling the insurance companies and their lawyers on the phones. Loud is probably a good word to explain those times.
I can very much imagine. But Scott, now that you look at the firm now, over 100 people, you have your own office and Howard has his. What are you most proud of what Ankin Law has become? And it may not just be the way we represent clients, but maybe the atmosphere of the office that has been created.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. On a professional perspective, sort of from a legal perspective, what I like to say is what we do, we are representing, people in volume, and we're a larger injury firm, but I like to say that we do volume right and we do volume well. What I mean by that is even though we're representing sort of large numbers of people, we provide good customer service. We have the office staff here to assist appropriately. So and we fight hard, and we actively try large numbers of Illinois workers' compensation cases. So even though the fact that sometimes people can sort of get a volume practice the wrong impression or get the wrong impression about a volume practice, we actually do volume well, and I really like that.
And Scott Goldstein, as an attorney, has helped to make that happen. Scott, our third guest here on the Getting Personal podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today, Scott.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and look forward to 25 more years of service at the Ankin Law offices, hopefully.